Hi, this is Amos Tarfa, and today I want to talk briefly about a few things. First of all, we're going to be moving away from YouTube as one of the main places I upload our videos, and we're actually going to be uploading it in our Teachable website. So it's the learn.fulllifeacademy.org. You must have signed up for it long ago when you signed up for the school. If you're new this year, you probably just signed up for it. If you don't have a sign-in, that's fine. We'll get you one here shortly. But the point is, a lot of our resources, so every week when I give the announcements or when I have a video about study skills, which I'll do right now, you basically get access to it in this portal. And I'll try and keep the portal where it's like week 3. Here's the information. Here's the videos that are general to everybody. Here's the chemistry video of the week, the physics, the biology, and so on and so forth. So we're going to really organize our Teachable website to house everything there. We'll embed the videos, so you actually don't need to go to YouTube at all. It will just be embedded in our course, which we have. This will be a better thing, especially for our students in 6th grade, 7th grade. But basically, they know where to go. They will get a login and password, and the parents can set up the account, actually, and then you'll be able to see everything you need there. I do have a question for parents, though. I don't know if you would be comfortable with setting up an email for your child, one that you can monitor, but that would allow them access to the computer science material, especially those who are learning how to write documents or use Google Sheets or Google Slides or Microsoft Word and so on and so forth. We want to build our computer science program, and our students will probably need emails if they are in computer science. So let me talk briefly about study skills and strategies for the week. In the past, I've had you come to your homeroom to check in or to your science class or math class to check in. What I'm going to start doing now is I'll actually just give you the video for the week for study skills. So you don't actually have to come in and check in. You can go to if you have a study hall, you can go to the study hall, but you have to watch this video each week though, because I am assuming that you're practicing these skills that we're talking about. So let's talk about study skills. Let's start from the top. So this is the outline for this short video. We're going to talk about study skills, the importance of study skills, and test-taking skills. We're going to talk about using a planner or something that can act as a planner. We're going to talk about time management, and we'll discuss the issue of service, school, and jobs. And then we're going to talk about the productivity tracker. So let's start from the first one, study skills. Last week, we were talking about reading, effective reading strategies. And one of the things I want you to do for your subjects like biology or chemistry is as you're reading the material in the book, please have a notebook that you're taking notes in for the definitions. Every term that is bold, there's a bold term or an underlined term, we need you to be able to define those terms, right? Define it in your own words, but then eventually, try and make sure that your words have everything that is necessary for that definition, right? For example, what is photosynthesis, right? It's a way that plants make sugars using carbon dioxide and water in the presence of sunlight. If there's no sunlight in your definition, we have a problem, right? And these are, plants have chlorophyll, which gets into more photosynthesis. You want to be able to detail the pieces necessary for the definition. So pay attention to definitions. If you need to use note cards, use note cards. Here's one thing I want you to keep in mind for study skills. It is important that you find out the things that work well for you and then continue to do those things. If you're using methods that are not working, then don't keep doing those things. Stop doing those things and pivot and start doing things that work. So for example, some people listen to music when they study. Is that helping you? If that's not helping you, then you shouldn't be listening to music while studying. But if you're listening to music and you're able to do your calculations and you're doing just fine, that's great. So please make sure you pay attention to your study skills and how well you're retaining knowledge. And then let's evaluate how well you're doing with the current skills you have. And let's discuss if we need to change those the setup you have. So those are some things to keep in mind for the study skills. If you need to take a separate notebook and just call it study skills and planner, do that and take notes of like, how did your first test go? Do you feel like you did your best to study? And if you did and you got a C, what can you do better next time, right? Let's talk to your academic advisor. You'll be getting those. You'll be getting your academic advisor this week. The list will be out there. You could talk to Mrs. Owen if you're not sure who your advisor is. You could talk to Mr. Fossum or Mr. Elias, and everybody will get their advisor. You could talk to your advisor. Your advisor will give you strategies for how to study better for your next tests. Okay, so that's the important. Again, study skills are important, but you need to evaluate them regularly to see if you need to pivot to do better next time. There are some great books out there on how to study. There's one called Make It Stick. There's one that is called Learning to Learn. There's several other resources. Maybe read a book on study skills. Maybe watch a video on study skills that goes more in depth. It's worth doing. Here's one example, and then we'll transition to using planners. So here's one thing that is interesting. There's two ways to cut down a tree. At least I hear. I don't know how to do it myself, but this is what I think you could do. You could take a dull axe and try using it to cut the tree down, and it might take you much longer. Or you can sharpen the axe and then cut the tree down faster, right? If that's the goal, you're cutting the tree for a good cause or whatever. The point is, do you sharpen, when you study how to study, that's sharpening the axe. It's going to help in the long run, even though at the moment you might think, I could be doing more economics, I could be doing more world history right now. Why am I learning how to study? Because if you know how to study, that's going to help you study better, more effectively, efficiently, and you get more ground covered. So you either can try cutting the tree down for 4 hours, or you can sharpen your axe for an hour and cut it down in an hour. Notice that the person who sharpens their axe will do better than the one who uses a dull axe. Let's not use a dull axe. Let's evaluate our study techniques and ask the question, am I doing the best I can with the resources I have to get the best score that I can get? Okay, number 2. Using a planner. I get questions about what is due, and we try to provide that. And we've tried this method of emailing everybody everything, and I don't think it's the most efficient way. I had questions about that already, and I appreciate the feedback that has already been sent out. Here's the deal. For every class you're in, it will be good to have a planner, and I'll send this to students later in the week or tomorrow. They can pick it up. But imagine if you have a planner that says, Monday, this is what I'm working on in class for math. Tuesday, this is what I'm supposed to do at home. Wednesday, this is what I'm supposed to do, and so on and so forth. Every student should have a planner, or you can take one of our documents and begin to fill it out. So at the end of every class that you're in, you should know exactly what is required of you by the next time you come to that class. Does that make sense? So every time you finish with a math class, for example, if you need to ask, go ahead and ask, excuse me, please, sir, or excuse me, Mrs., what is due by Thursday? Write it there. When you go home, you should be able to show your parents the list of courses you're taking, the assignments for each of those courses, what is due for each of those courses. Now, we will still continue to provide a video and provide documents for what's due, but what we want is let it be for those who missed class or were not there. But if you were in class, you should be able to get that going and then show your parents that you know what is expected of you. We also have another resource we're going to start using over the next few weeks in our Quick Schools. Quick Schools is where we're going to put in the grades. We'll put in the grades, but we'll also put in the lesson plans so that, for example, when you log into Quick Schools, if your parents log in, they could go to a class that you're in, and they should be able to see what you need to do for that class. We will announce that more and more as we release that option. The benefit of this option is that you will only see the classes that you're signed up for, and you will see exactly what you need to be doing for each of those classes. This will become automatic moving into the second quarter, and we don't have to worry about what's due for math today because it's all there in Quick Schools. Okay, so stay tuned for that over the next few weeks. So I call this a planner alternative, where it shows you all the subjects that you're taking, it shows you all the days of the week, and then it allows you to write in what's due. Each week you can get a new one and use that for the material for all your subjects. Okay, so that's my recommendation for a planner, or you can buy a full planner and use that. Okay, so study skills are important. Evaluate the study skills you're using. Are they working? Is watching the video helping, or do you need to go talk to a tutor? Is talking to a tutor working, or do you need to watch the video also? Think about how to improve, but never settle for where you are if where you are is not working out. Time management. On the back of this document that I've made, your planner, on the back is something that's actually connected to the productivity tracker. But I made this years ago, but then I refined it during the COVID era when people had a lot of time on their hands, right? During the COVID era, which, in Minnesota and Wisconsin, certain places were locked down, so you couldn't go to certain places. So people had time to do whatever they wanted. And here's what's interesting. Back in 1661, around 1661 to 1665, Isaac Newton's generation, they had a problem. They had a health crisis. People went back home, or they went away. Newton went away. He didn't want to get disease. And during that time, he came up with some great scientific discoveries. It's interesting because we had a situation in the beginning of COVID, people were not sure what's going on. People were on lockdown. And instead of people discovering new mathematical equations, apparently the internet in Europe was going to break down because people were streaming high definition video, right? So the times have changed, right? Back then, Newton, of course, is an exception, is a weird guy in a good way. But he came up with theories. We had time, to be at home, and many people did not come up with new theories. So I say all that to say, how do you use your time? Are you coming up with new theories? Are you thinking of ways to make the world better? Are you thinking of ways to encourage your neighbors? That leads to some of the ideas I have for you to schedule in your time productivity tracker. The productivity tracker basically shows 4 a.m. to 10 p.m. hours in a block, and it says write down what you're planning for that week in each of those hours. Even if you're sleeping, you could put sleep under any of the hour blocks. If you're eating, you could put eat. But can you account for every hour of your day? Right? Can you account for every hour of your day? If you use a plan like this, it will reduce the time you waste on smartphones and things that are just not productive. Be more proactive with your time. Set out time to serve and volunteer in the community. Set out time to do your schoolwork well. Set out time to job shadow or have a job. Everybody needs to be thinking about career options, right? You're going to be hearing me talk more and more about careers. Everyone from 6th to 12th grade at Lifestem Academy, I would love you to all have a notebook that is dedicated to career exploration. If you know beyond a shadow of a doubt that you want to become a physicist, great. Let's start talking to people who are physicists. Let's start subscribing to some physics journals. Let's start reading about the field of physics. But if you say, I don't know what to do with my life, that's okay. But what are you doing to prepare for that? America is one of the only nations where people are allowed to delay the choice of career as late as they do, and it's still not working out for the nation. People are getting student loans, and sometimes they graduate and they don't have jobs in that field, and they're not satisfied with the degree they got. Well, maybe we should start talking about it in 6th grade. So at Lifestem Academy, right from 6th grade, we're talking about career preparation. See, if we're created in the image of God, if we're created for a purpose, there are certain pieces about our lives that will become very evident and will go into our careers. For example, when I was in 3rd grade, somewhere in 4th grade, I loved doing math problems and trying to help people understand math, right? There was a little bit of that in my life, even in 3rd grade. I loved paper when I was in elementary school, 1st grade or so. I loved paper. I liked, the idea of playing with paper and things. I remember I would take my dad's paper back then, the perforated paper, that they would have where you can cut the paper and, it has these lines, you can split the paper into smaller pieces and all that. Anyways, I love paper. So there's something about education that was in my life for a long time. My grandma used to tell me that all you want to do is go read by the lamp or something, I grew up without constant electricity, so life was a little different. I have an advantage because I was able to read more books due to not having constant electricity. That's another day's story. The point, though, is how are you using your time? Are you managing your time well? Are you able to budget every hour? Job shadowing is important. We need you to explore careers. Do you need help finding people to shadow? On September 28th, we're doing the career fair. It's an annual event. We're hoping to invite people from the community. We want you to hear about different careers. We want you to explore. We want you to learn. And it is not too early. 6th grade is not too early to be thinking about careers. For some people, they know they don't like blood, and that's not going to change in the next few years. So maybe don't become a surgical tech or a surgeon, right? No problem with that. What are you passionate about? What are you gravitating towards? Still do all the things you need to do for school, but spend some extra time building your skill set so that if you became a surgeon, you'll be a world-class surgeon who has been training for years. If you become an eye doctor, you would be an eye doctor that knows the human eye well because you've been thinking about the eyes for a long time. Okay, so productivity tracker, everybody has access to it. I'm going to print as many as I need for every week. You grab one, fill it out, be able to show me what you need to be working on. For each of your classes on this side, and then on the other side, be able to show me, do you have tennis this week? What activity do you have going on? When are you going to do your math review? When are you going to do your biology review? It's important that we schedule our time well. I hope the study skills segment for this week has been helpful. Going over strategies for study skills, going over time management, going over the productivity tracker, having a planner. Let us take ownership of our learning. Let us give our best in our learning. That is important. We want you to be the best that you can be with the tools that you've been blessed with. So do not settle for less and do not buy into the idea that you're too young to step up your game. You can step up your game even if you're just in 4th grade. Give the best that you can. There's a time to study and there's a time to play. So give your best today and in the days ahead. Take care. God bless. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care.